We'll show some preliminary remarks about the practices aimed at achieving immortality and longevity in Rejuvenation in Tamil Siddha literature. So the Tamil Siddhas, one of the definitions is provided by Vadalur. It goes as follows. Siddhas are South Indian, in particular Tamil sages, who have accepted as their basic doctrine the indissoluble unity of body and spirit, and proclaimed as their method of liberation the search for physical immortality. According to the traditional view, there are 18 Siddhas, and different textual sources provide the listings of those Siddhas. However, no two of the lists are identical, so the number is rather symbolic than historical. Developing further divides Siddhas into three streams. The first one are alchemists and physicians, the second one are thinkers and poets, whose writings concern mostly yoga and some religious practices and concepts. And the third group is classified as Siddha-like poets. And also this presentation will be divided into three parts. The first one will concern concepts about achieving longevity and immortality in Tirumantiram, which is included by Vadalur into the second stream. The second part will discuss some concepts from alchemical and medical texts, and the third part will show some ideas found in the literature of Vaḷḷalār, Siddha-like poet. Tirumantiram, generally it's accepted as a root text of Tamil Siddha tradition. The chronology of the text is not certain, and there are some controversies about it. So some scholars propose period from 5th to 6th century up to the period of 10th to 12th century. This is also one of the 12 constituents of Tirumūlar, which is the Tamil Siddha canon, so it's also closely connected with Shaiva religion. And it consists of 3,000 stanzas dealing with various subjects, such as mostly yoga, but also some religious concepts and philosophical concepts. Author of Tirumantiram is recognized with the name Tirumūlar, which derives from the honorific form of the name Mūlan, and it is claimed by the author that he entered the body of the dead cowherd Mūlan, in which he gained true knowledge, which is called Jnana. And then he composed his text. Interestingly, the term Jnana in Tamil may mean both the true knowledge or the knowledge of the body, because the term may mean the body or the reality or truth. So in the Tirumūlar explicitly states that knowledge of the body is essential for achieving immortality and longevity, and the final aim of liberation. In his view, the body and soul are very closely connected, and one depends upon the other. So for him, fostering the body is equal to fostering the soul, as it's stated in those quotations. So the Tirumūlar describes methods of fostering the body and securing the body from aging and from diseases and from death. One whole chapter is devoted to such practices. It's called kāyakaṛpam, which means methods of achieving bodily powers. So this chapter mostly deals with the so-called Shiva Yoga, which suggests Ashtanga Yoga and also some form of Pariyanga Yoga with sexual practices. And also it is said that the yoga, the one who practices yoga can vanquish death, can conquer time, and can stay forever young. In the context, in these yoga practices, emphasis is on the breath control, which leads to mind control, which leads to immortality. And also the important aspect is realization of the God within oneself, so it's also necessary. Unification with God is compared to alchemical process of changing copper into gold. However, alchemy is not further discussed in detail. In the context of yoga, also another important immortalizing practice is described. It's called Amrit, which means preservation of urine. This passage is rather cryptic, and it deals with the drinking water in Tamil Siddha, which is said to prevent diseases, to make body golden, and to stabilize breath and mind also. And this fluid is called also water of Shiva, it's Shivanir, when it's mixed with black pepper. So drinking and as well as external use of this amuri is prescribed in the text. And of this amuri mixed with the black pepper. And it is said that it's the best medicine also for gray hair when put on the scalp. And last portion of this section dealing with the drinking of urine contains also a recipe for immortalizing preparation, which ingredients are written here. So the water held in the body is presumably also this amuri. However, there are some controversies whether this amuri should be interpreted as urine or as semen, because in one passage, amuri is also called uvari, which in Tamil means brackish water, and in Tamil lexicon it's also a synonym for urine. So it suggests that actually amuri is urine. Another passage says that before drinking amuri, one should remove froth and waves. So it also suggests rather urine than semen. However, in one passage, it is this passage follows directly after Pariyanga Yoga section, which suggests some, and Pariyanga Yoga deals with the sexual practices, so it suggests some connection between semen and amuri. And it's also suggested that one should control the flow of the amuri within one's body, so it's also associated with, maybe associated with the practices of controlling semen flow in yogic practices. Okay. Now let's move forward to the second section, concepts from literature of medical and alchemical streams of Siddha tradition. And this literature is also, the chronology is also very uncertain. Usually this literature is roughly dated to period between 15th or 16th to 19th century. The texts are unorganized. There is no corpus of the text, no critical editions of the text. And usually a lot of texts haven't been published yet, so they remain in the form of the manuscripts, often in private hands. And they deal with a number of subjects and themes, such as yoga, also alchemy, medicine, some magical practices. And choice of the themes and number of the themes vary significantly from one text to another. And usually they are in form of practical manuals for alchemy, medicine, yoga, and allied sciences. However, very often they do not provide necessary details for the practice of these science. Okay. Among the described practices aimed at achieving immortality, very noteworthy are the kāyakaṛpam preparations, and Bcud, one of the most prominent Siddhas, says that kāyakaṛpam is a preparation which bestows the power to remain deathless. Kāyakaṛpam recipes might be very simple or very complicated. For example, miragu kāyakaṛpam, which is black pepper kāyakaṛpam, consists of only one ingredient. This is black pepper, and similar to the recipe mentioned by Dagmar. You take at the beginning 5 balls of black pepper and increase the dose every day by 5, and it's taken with urine also. However, the recipes might be very complicated and might require repeated soaking, grinding, calcinating, a lot of operations and a lot of ingredients, not only herbals but also metallic or mineral. Interestingly, even very simple kāyakaṛpams, herbal kāyakaṛpams, may be described in a very complicated way, like this one. This is a recipe from Vaļļalār, 7th century text, and I marked with red riddles, which are intentionally obscured passages, which sometimes there are ingredients, sometimes operation, and sometimes instruments used. And with the green color, I marked ingredients which are said explicitly. So let's see, for example, number 4, join the mother to the beginning of lead. So it may mean that we have to take the word Vanga, which in Tamil means lead, and join number 4. And to Vanga we join the synonym or the word which is close to the word mother in Tamil, which is Ila, it means woman. And we got Ila Vanga, which is cloth. Sorry, there's a lot of recipes like this. And text describe some operations while preparing kāyakaṛpam. Most common is a butam operation. Butam means a capsule. Here. It looks like this. We put inside some metallic and mineral previously purified with herbal juices. And then we close the capsule. We apply a special lute made of clay and some cloths, also mixed with the herbals. And then calcinate it in the fire of the cow dungs. There are also some more complicated apparatus like this one. This serves for distillation of the muppu. So it's a very consists of many parts, and it's also a long process. One of the most important operations while preparing mineral kāyakaṛpam is kātte. It means in Tamil making ties or bands. And according to dictionary, it's the art of consolidating substances which readily pass off into vapor in fire. So it's basically immobilizing substances. Substances which are subjected to kāttu, mentioned by the text, are usually mercury, sulfur, some metals also, and salt. And the substances used as a kātte for making kātte are plants which are also used in the medicine. And sometimes it's suggested in the text that those plants possess extraordinary medical properties because they are able to make a kātte on the mineral substances. The processed drugs are usually named after the form they obtain as effect of the preparation. So the most common are sendurams, which are these red calcinated oxides of metals, or white varieties are kāyakaṛpam and sundam. There are some items are credited by Siddhas with extraordinary properties, and now I would like to point some of the most important items and substances regarded as the most powerful in the process of rejuvenation and immortalizing. So the first one are black herbs, in family Kāyakaṛpam. Bcud mentions some varieties of the common herbs such as neem or karante, which can be found black. And he says that the black varieties are extraordinarily powerful in this process. He says that those herbs may be found in the mountains, however they are extremely rare. So he provides a recipe how to cultivate black herbs. So basically we have to prepare a special kind of soil in which the key ingredient seems to be mercurial nut. And the 4th generation of the crop is said to become black. Interestingly, in Tamil, the word kuru, which means here black, can also mean egg, germ, or matrix. So it may also suggest some association with the concept of essence and with the matrix rasa. Yes?
Can I just mention that these marking nuts that we have some here, they're in a bag, and tomorrow Andrew will show us how to make Rasāyana based on marking nuts, so you can have a look at them and see. But be careful about touching them. You can have allergic reactions to them. So they're in a bag. Maybe we best keep them in the bag or touch them only with gloves.
Also, other herbs, mountain herbs, are also credited with more powers than the ordinary herbs. And to find the best quality herbs, another herb is used, and I brought it here. It's called jodi pul. This is this grass, so you can see how it works. You take one piece, and the jodi pool should start to circulate in the hand. So it shows if it circulates clockwise, it means that the herb possesses some good properties, and if it moves.
So you hold the...
Yeah, you hold the
thicker bit down.
Yeah, the thicker, and you have to soak it. Yeah, I think so. And yeah, so this is how the good herbs are found. It is also said that the mountain herbs works even on the animals. So, for example, Bogar says that one cow which ate it will become a kamadleno, which would be delicious. There are also some other herbs which are regarded as powerful, mostly the same as in Ayurveda. Neem, amla, garlic, turmeric, and black pepper is very often mentioned. Another item credited with extraordinary powers is muppu, and this is one of the most mysterious substance mentioned by the Siddha text. Muppu might be literally translated as triple salt, and it has been interpreted in many ways, such as some scholars say that it may mean the mantra Om, because it consists also of 3 sounds, and it may also designate sun, moon, and fire, which is associated with tantric imaginary. And however, mostly text suggests that the muppu is material substance, and it consists of three ingredients: punir, which means water of the earth; andakal, which means egg stone; and kāyakaṛpam, rock salt, and or Vadalur, which is potassium nitrate. And this punir and andakal has been interpreted as water coming from the fuller's earth, and the egg-like stones, these white stones, which are found nearby, and this is potassium. Another interpretation is also muppu with a long pu at the end. Pu in Tamil means flower and blossom, and also a menstrual. Yes.
This one's going mad. What does that mean? It's going clockwise. It's like spinning round and round. It's amazing.
I don't know how we should interpret it.
You got a good one.
Not a good one.
You can use it many times actually. Yeah, you can try it and use it again.
Oh yeah, just like you can eat it as
It's
is.
also edible. There are some nowadays it's very popular to make a juice out of kuru, and it also prevents marriage separation. So it's okay, so it may mean also trickle discharges, menstrual blood, semen, and urine. Text ascribed to muppu or muppu many benefits. It is often said that it's a very powerful immortalizing substance. It provides success in all alchemical operations and in preparations of Buddha. It helps with the preparation of the flying pill and with the changing substances into gold. It helps with the breath control and with practice of 18th yoga, Ashtanga yoga. And Bogar even says that it's impossible to become Siddha without preparing muppu. So it's credited with some extraordinary properties. Another important salt is kāyakaṛpam. This is it means tight salt, and this is salt which has to be used while taking kāyakaṛpam, common kitchen salt. It is said that if you eat common salt while taking kāyakaṛpam, all of your siddhis will be destroyed. So the process of preparing kāyakaṛpam is very complicated, and it requires a lot of ingredients, both herbals and mineral, and applying Buddha operation. It should be taken, as I said, in place of the common salt, and the body is said to become like iron pillar. And what's also interesting, it does not come down the urine, so it gets totally absorbed in the body. Another powerful substances are mercury and 9 poisons, Navapashanam. It's often claimed that mercury plays a central role in Siddha tradition. Bogar states that there is no death for the one who learned how to immobilize mercury. And first, of course, all those substances are subjected to the process of purification to remove their toxic properties. And the very powerful form of the mercury is racamaṇi, which is the jewel of rasa, of mercury. It's consolidated mercury formed into bead. And text contain many recipes for preparing racamaṇi. So firstly, mercury usually is purified with herbal juices. There are different various juices mentioned, and this Siddha used key ingredient was the aloe juice, and he also used some turmeric and lotus juice also. So first, the rasam, the mercury is grinded in the mortar with this herbal ingredients. It's said that it gets a butter-like consistency. And after that, texts say that you should apply this mercury inside the datura plant, datura fruit, and put it in the butam and apply fire. All of these operations have to be repeated many times. It's not prepared in one day. And racamaṇi can be worn as amulet, like here. On the right, we get a picture of flat racamaṇi because it got trapped inside the body of the owner, who was wearing this for many years. And it's said that it protects from the witchcraft, that it prolongs life when worn, and also supports yogic practices and meditation. Okay. There's also another consolidated mercury mentioned. It's called rasagulike. But the distinction between the racamaṇi and rasagulike requires further research. Rasagulike is mentioned mostly in the context of ability of flying or walking on the ground. And it is also said that it requires a saranam operation, which is a Tamilized word for charanam in Sanskrit. So it seems to be closely associated with the Sanskrit practices found in Sanskrit literature. Okay, next powerful substance, which has already been mentioned, is amuri, this urine. It's an important vehicle of many medicines. However, there are also kāyakaṛpam, in which the urine is the key ingredient. For example, this one from kāyakaṛpam. And the urine of the young boy that needs sweets is the key ingredient here. It is said to change the body into Vaḷḷalār, into diamond. What are the effects of the kāyakaṛpam described in the text? First, how we take the kāyakaṛpam. None of the texts provide a complete kāyakaṛpam therapy. However, Bogar gives some instructions how the kāyakaṛpam should be taken. So first of all, it's often repeated that we should avoid common salt, tamarind, and sex. And therapy should last 40 days, which is called mandalam, the period of mandalam. However, it's sometimes suggested that therapy should last for 9 months, and gradually the body, month by month, the body transformations are described. Also, it is mentioned that the side effects might occur while taking kāyakaṛpam, and the side effect is excessive heat in the body, which also associates kāyakaṛpam therapy with yoga, in which the kundalini rise is connected with the increasing heat in the body. The effects of the kāyakaṛpam, repeatedly mentioned, it's said that they remove diseases, strengthen the body, they purify the body, especially they remove phlegm, and phlegm is seen as an obstacle during yoga practice also, because it is said that it blocks nectar flow from Sahasrara. And it's mentioned that it's a support in yoga and affects transformations of the body, which becomes beautiful as a god of love, for example. It affects rejuvenation and immortality. It is very often mentioned that kāyakaṛpam removes 5 limitations of the body, and limitations listed are white hair, wrinkles, old age, diseases, and death. And it also is useful in the alchemy. Now I would like to, in the last part of this presentation, I would like to introduce Vaḷḷalār, poet, who was born in 19th century, and it is believed that he achieved transformation of the body and he achieved deathless state in 30th January 1874. Vaḷḷalār, feeling disappointed by his followers who did not stick to his rules, he delivered final speech. This is here, and then he locked himself in the room, and he ordered that the room should be locked from outside. So the room was locked, and after 1 year, when some officers came and to open the room was empty. As this is the doors to this room, it's now being worshipped, and it is generally believed that he transformed his body into body of light, sound, and knowledge, and become immortal and invisible. Vaḷḷalār is author of both poetry, in which he describes his transformations of his body and his experiences, and prose, in which he gives practical instructions for his followers how to achieve this deathless body. It is said that he performed many miracles. He was healing people, and also his body is said to produce excessive heat. He was melting metals with his hands. It is said that his body was not casting shadow, and it was impossible to make a photo of him, so we have only these painted images. And because the body is said to be so luminous, and it's also explained that he wore this white cloth to cover this extra luminosity of his body. And Vaḷḷalār mapped away deathlessness with Sanmargam, which means good path. Here are the 4 statements of Sanmargam. The art is the art of non-dying, the knowledge is knowledge about non-God, the strength is strength to restrain 5 impurities, also might be understood as 5 limitations of white hair, wrinkles, and so on. And the work is keeping power over substances. He also formed 4 puruṣārtham in Tamil kāyakaṛpam, which are the aims of life, yes. So we see that also the art of deathlessness, cākākkalai, is one of the aims to be gained in this life, along with power of making gold. Vaḷḷalār repeatedly claims that the art of non-dying was taught by God to him, and he states that it is also absolutely necessary to get the grace of God to become immortal. Achieving deathlessness means transformation of the body from maruludambu, which is body of delusion, into aruludambu, the body of benevolence. And this transformation is marked with achieving triple body, which is pure body, which is a synonym of body of God or body of light, body of sound, and body of knowledge. It is said that one who achieves those bodies gets some extraordinary qualities. His senses become unlimited, and so does his cognition. A person cannot be afflicted by any weapons and diseases or death. And Vaḷḷalār says that it's possible to anyone, and to lead a herbal, which means a great life without dying. To him, the body and soul are equally important, and they constitute one form, which is called the sacred form, which is echo of Tirumantiram concepts about unity of body and soul. Caring for the body and securing the body is essential for achieving final aim. And so Vaḷḷalār provides some instructions how to take care about the body. And according to him, there are 4 factors which destroy the body. They are food, sex, sleep, and fear. Sometimes he includes also stupor. And the worst are food and sex. However, he says also that the less we sleep, the longer we live. So in some texts, he even says that humans should sleep for 1 hour per day. Vaḷḷalār also describes some conducts in a very detailed way. And for example, he even gives advices for meditation, for cleaning teeth, for defecating also. So they're very very detailed descriptions, and he provides some recipes which are closely connected with the kāyakaṛpam from alchemical text. He uses the same herbs. However, he does not mention racamaṇi. He does not mention mercury. He provides some recipes with urine also. And in his poetry, the kāyakaṛpam recipe is also mentioned. Here are the ingredients, including one of the pashanam, the poisons. And this kāyakaṛpam is said to relieve death. Another important aspect of his teaching is he says that it's essential to study three elements: non-dying ether, non-burning wind, and non-flowing water. This passage is one of the most cryptic from his poetry. One of the interpretation is based on the notion that all of these elements are immobilized, so they are not changing, and it connects them, ether, wind, and water, with mind, semen, and breath, which has to be immobilized during yogic practices. And what is interesting, the first names of this element, if we take the first syllable, savepo, in Tamil it means, when we put them together, we got the phrase savepo, which means go away death. So it might be also a word there. Vaḷḷalār describes his experiences, including bodily transformation in his poetry. And this one is one of the most striking descriptions of the body falling apart during the process of transformation in achieving this triple body. Okay, and some concluding remarks. From the oldest attested Siddha literature, some substances and practices are used as rejuvenating and immortalizing, and they are associated with the concept of essence, which is connected with rasa, with amuri, and with kara. Also, recurring theme is immobilization of breath, mind, and semen in Tirumantiram, in alchemy, while making kākākkalai, and it also resounds in the poetry of Vadalur and his concept of non-changing elements. Kāyakaṛpam therapy and kāyakaṛpam preparations are closely connected with yoga, and it's called Siva Yoga in Tamil text. And starting from the Tirumantiram, the oldest text, they are closely connected. In later texts, it is often stated that kāyakaṛpam enhance yoga, and also to take kāyakaṛpam, you should practice yoga if you want the kāyakaṛpam to be effective. So they are go together. And notion that the body and soul are equally important is also attested from the oldest text. And it's also, I think, it's also reflected in the construction of the text, when there is no division between the spiritual practices and the medical body practices. The role of mercury is not present in Tirumantiram, the oldest text. It appears in the later text from alchemical and medical tradition. And however, it's also credited with some extraordinary properties. And operations are not described and not systematized. There's no order of operations like, which, for example, is found in Sanskrit literature. And so in the Tamil tradition, we have elements which are common with concepts from Sanskrit literature, like the use of mercury and preparing these pills from the mercury. And we have got also some original concepts which are not found in Sanskrit texts, like muppu, for example. Okay, thank you for your attention.